Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another Marine Corps Mondays, and this week I was going to bring some more information on the Marines and about different MOSs and stuff, but last week was my birthday, and went out drinking and stuff, hooked up some chicks, normal shit. Fucking, just talking to a lot of my friends, and we started talking about my experience in the Marines and some funny stories and shit, and I got reminded of one, and I just have to share it, because this is the life of a Marine, pretty much. This is what you do on your off time. This is the shit you get into. Even if you were never like this when, you were a civilian, you're going to be like this when you're a Marine. It happens to everybody. So, Camp Pendleton, I think it was 2005. I was at LAV school, and that's an A school, so you're still not, you're a Marine, but, you're still kind of like treated like you are SOI almost. You still got your weekend liberties, you got a libo buddy and everything. And the way the libo buddies work is, you go out on the weekend and you have a buddy. And you cannot leave that buddy whatsoever. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to find out that you leave your buddy, but you're not supposed to leave your buddy. Well, everyone who's under 21 gets paired with somebody under 21, and everyone over 21 gets paired with somebody who's over 21. So, pretty much, you're not going to be able to drink at all if you're under 18. Well, you're not supposed to. I'm doing little finger movements. But, my libo buddy was the worst libo buddy ever. He was a Mormon. Now, I'm not hating on Mormons or anything, but this guy did not want to do anything but sit in the hotel room, watch TV, and sleep. I was like, seriously, all I want to do is go get drunk and see some strippers. Like, honestly, dude. So, I remember one day, this is probably my most eventful time in San Diego. So, this weekend Liberty was probably halfway through the LAV course, and we got sent out. And I was friends with, like, one of my buddies. I went through boot camp. He was like 25, and me and him, we'd always go with our libo buddies, get a hotel in the same area, and me and him would go out and party and shit, and our libo buddies would do whatever. So I'd been kind of messing around with this stripper at the body shop, which is in San Diego, for like a few weeks. Me and her messed around a little bit, and she said pretty much, hey, when you come out this weekend, I'm gonna come stay the night with you. I'm like, all right, whatever. So, tell my libo buddy, I'm like, hey dude, I'm gonna be bringing somebody back to the hotel room, I was like, so I might need you to amscray for a little while when I get back. He's like, oh sure, no problem, I'll go find something to do. And I was like, alright. So, we hop on the train, head on down to San Diego. The train's awesome. I mean, you can take it to LA everywhere. It's pretty badass. You hop on your little ferry shuttle, they drop you off down there near the train station, whatever, and you ride on out. Get on the train to San Diego, then we, head on out to the hotel room, get checked in and everything, and, I'm hanging around. My libo buddy was pretty, he was cool dude, but, he was boring as hell when it came to, like, he didn't want to do anything exciting. Like, all he wanted to do was just sit there and hang out in the hotel room, and it, like, literally killed me. Literally killed me. I was, like, dying every day. Look at this guy. So, we hop down, we're hanging around and stuff. So my buddy comes, picks me up in the cab, and he's like, hey, let's go on down to the body shop. Now, this stripper, on a scale from 1 to 10 was, I don't know, a 6. She was good looking, she was skinny, but you could tell she's been beat up. She wasn't the most perfect chick ever. Chick's been around, she's a stripper, it's a given. And, yeah, look, just mowing people down with the grenade launcher right now. But, but she was cool, and, I wasn't looking to date her or anything. I just wanted to just get laid, pretty much, Had a hard week, PTing and everything, doing classes. I wanted to get laid. So, go on down to the body shop, and I'm hanging out there with my buddies and stuff, and we're all drinking. She's up on stage, I'm throwing dollars at her and shit, doing my thing. So she's like, hey, do you want to have a lap dance? I'm like, alright, so go get a lap dance. I remember specifically the prices were $15 per song for the lap dance. So I go get a lap dance from her and shit, and I'm like, alright. So, next thing I know, she's whipping stuff out, sticking it inside of stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. I was like getting a little, get a little action back here. So, having fun. A few songs go by. I think it was like 3 or 4 songs, and, so we hop out, and she's like, alright, let me go find out how much it was. She goes, talks to the bouncer, and she comes back, and she's like, hey, you're gonna hate me. And I'm like, why? And she's like, yeah, you owe me like $400 something. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, no fucking way. So, of course, I'm like, hell no, I ain't paying you. Fuck you, kind of deal. You're trying to rob me blind. Forget you. Well, she goes and gets the bouncer, which is like the biggest dude I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, ah, great. And all my friends are just like moving to the other side of the strip club. I'm like, fucking amazing. So, he escorts me to the in-house ATM where I withdraw the money to pay the bitch. Like, cool, amazing. So I pretty much got robbed right there. And I'm like, oh, cool. And she's probably not even going to come back to the hotel room. I'm like, this sucks. So this is what happens. People take advantage of Marines all the time. I'm telling you that right now. Shit happens. You know, don't buy a car. Don't tell people you're a Marine and try to buy shit or any service, because you're just going to get screwed out of your money. Especially in a military town. That's definitely a big no-no. So I'm hanging out with my buddies and stuff. And my other buddy, apparently, another stripper tried pulling the same thing on him, apparently. And he was, you know, he had a wife, kids. He was a corporal. And he was like, nah, man, I gotta, you know, Christmas was coming up. He's like, I gotta pay, you know, get my kids some presents, Christmas presents. I can't pay this chick. So he had walked out on without paying her before. So, of course, they're in a little fight. She's throwing water bottles at him and stuff, and the bouncers drag him out and stuff, which is hilarious. Watching one of your friends get dragged out the door. But, so we all amscray, and she comes up to me and she's like, hey, I'm getting off in 10 minutes, you know, where are you staying at? I'm like, oh, I'm at the Holiday Inn and stuff. But I was like, you know, I got a buddy who's in the room. I was like, we gotta tell him to amscray when we get there. She's like, alright, just meet me out back, and, you know, I'll pick you up in my car and we'll drive over. I'm like, okay. And, you know, I had a little alarm bell. I was like, maybe I'm getting set up for something. Don't go out back. Don't go out back, you know. It's bad news. Just stay out of there. So I go wait out back, and I'm like chilling, hanging out there. And next thing I know, this little silver car comes pulling up, and it's her. I'm like, hey, what's up? She's like, hey, get in, I'll drive you to the hotel. I'm like, alright. So I noticed there's a baby seat in the back. I was like, oh, found out something about you I didn't know. And then, you know, we drive on out to the hotel room and stuff, and she comes in. So I open the door, and I'm trying to wake up my buddy, and he just won't wake up. I'm like, dude, what is going on? I was like, this isn't cool. I was like, please get up, get up, get up. I'm like shaking him. He's not getting up for anything. So I look at her, and I'm like, do you care? And she's like, is he gonna wake up? And I was like, I mean, I just shook him like a baby. I was like, he ain't waking up. So she's like, yeah, let's go for it. So we started doing our thing and everything. You know, a few times go by. I only brought like maybe like a 4-pack of condoms. So keep using them, keep using them, keep using them, keep using them. Next thing I know, it's like fucking way early in the morning. I'm like, holy shit. So she's like, well, let's keep going. And I'm like, oh, I'm out. She's like, don't worry about it. I'm like, alright. And my dumb ass, because I've been drinking, I'm like, alright. So I stick it on in there, bareback it. Yeah, not thinking anything of it. So halfway through, my buddy all of a sudden wakes up. And he's like, oh, sits up. And he's like, do you want me to leave? And I'm like, it's a little late for that, man. I was like, just go back to sleep. So he's like, oh, okay. And he goes, lays back down. So me and her finish. I walk her out to her car and stuff. And, you know, she's like, oh, you know, I'll talk to you later, you know, I'll see you next time you come down. I'm like, whatever. At this point, I don't really care. So, you know, all my buddies, we all meet up, and, you know, we hit the mall and everything, and for the last Sunday before we had to go in. And, you know, look at this. This is stupid. There's so many dudes around. Just ridiculous. So we hit the mall, and we hop back on the train. We start going back, and I'm telling everybody the story. And apparently, I was the only one who got laid that weekend, so I was like, oh, you know, hey, you know, oorah, like, fucking everybody else is screwed. And, so we get back to base and shit, fucking check in with everybody. Everybody's telling about their weekend and stuff. And so we all pass out, go to sleep, wake up, and then we all get in formation, get briefed for what we're doing for the day. And then they release us, go down to the chow hall. So we go down to the chow hall, we're eating and stuff, and I remember I was like thirsty as hell. Like, I had a little bit of a hangover, so I grabbed a few glasses of orange juice, was drinking those, you know, some eggs and bacon and stuff. So we come on back, and we're getting ready for PT and stuff, so we're all changing, and I got, you know, my PT gear on. I'm like, fuck, I gotta piss. So I run on in there, and I go take a piss, and I'm like, damn, there's something not right here. I was like, it's starting to burn and tingle a little bit. I'm like, this isn't cool. It's like, what the fuck's going on? So I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, whatever. I was like, I'm just gonna ignore it. I was like, this ain't happening. I was like, this ain't happening. Just gonna ignore it. So I fucking we go PT and everything. We come back. We go. Everybody hops in the shower. We're getting ready for, you know, head to the schoolhouse and shit. And fucking go back to the bathroom, and the same thing. It's like fucking got a little bit of a sting to it. So I'm like, fuck. So we get down to the schoolhouse, and I find Gunny, and I'm like, hey, Gunny, I was like, you know, I need to go to the BAS. And he's like, why? I was like, and, well, before I explain this, his #1 rule before every Liberty, and pretty much when everybody got there, he's like, look at this fucker. He said, do not bareback anybody. He's like, always have condoms, just mowing people down. Look at that shit. It's like, always have condoms, do not bareback anybody. So that was his big thing. Like, he kept saying it all the time. And he would come up and give us our briefs, the Corona in his hand and stuff, you know, full camis. Like, he didn't give a fuck. But, so I'm telling him, like, hey, Gunny, I was like, you know, I need to go to BAS. And he's like, what's up? And so I told him about what happened. And I was like, you know, and he's like, did you bring condoms? He's like, yeah, but I ran out. He's like, oh my God. He's like, Marine, go get yourself checked out. So I go to the BAS, and he has one of my buddies come with me. Because, you know, for moral support, apparently. And I didn't understand what this means, so until we're gonna get to that. So I get there, and I go meet one of the corpsmen, and I'm telling him, you know, I was like, hey, you know, I need to get an STD test. And he's like, what? He's like, wait. So he pulls me aside. He's like, who'd you hook up with? Blah blah blah. Because, you know, military town, everybody kind of knows everybody and who's with who. So I told him, and he's like, oh, I know who that is. He's like, oh, you definitely need one. And I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, fuck, my life. I'm like, really, dude? So, you know, he brings over another corpsman, and we're all laughing and joking about it. And he's like, dude, have you ever had one before? And I'm like, no. And he's like, oh, man. He's like, this is going to suck. And I'm like, don't tell me that, man. I was like, come on. So they take me into the exam room, and I remember this Navy, it was this male Japanese short Navy lieutenant doctor comes in, and he's like, okay, he's looking over my chart, and he's like, alright, so I see you need an STD test and stuff, and he's like, alright, drop your pants. I'm like, I was like, you know, this is uncomfortable. I was like, you know, sucks. So I drop my pants, he's feeling all over my junk and stuff, and he's like, you know, I was telling him how it burns when I pee and stuff, and it's like a sharp pain, and he's like, alright, we're gonna swab you and then run a test. And I'm like, alright. So he pulls out this, and it's one of those long, like, Q-tips. And I'm like, oh my God. And they have a name for this. It's called the bore punch. Because, you know, pretty much you're punching your bore, as in you're cleaning your rifle and stuff. You know, it doesn't take an idiot to figure it out. So he's like, oh, okay, you know, this is going to sting a little bit. And he takes it and just starts whap, 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 whap into there. And I'm like, freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, it was the worst pain I've ever felt in my entire life. Like, honestly, I'd rather get punched in the face 100 times than do this again. So, does it, and he's like, alright, I'll let you know the test results tomorrow. I'm like, oh man, so I was like, so now it really hurts when I pee. And I'm like, fuck, man. You know, I'm walking around all weird. Gunny, I get back to schoolhouse, and it's the end of class, so Gunny has me stand up and explain to everybody what just happened to me, because I failed to follow his rule #1. So I had to tell everybody the experience of the board punch, what it's like to have a dude handle your junk and put Q-tips in it and stuff, and everyone's laughing and laughing and laughing, and I'm a little laughing about it a little bit too, standing up in front of everybody, you know, all my friends and shit. So next day I go down there and shit, and fucking doctor's like, well, I got some good news and some bad news. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, I don't want to hear the bad news. He's like, what's the good news? He's like, you don't have any STDs. And I was like, oh, okay, what's the bad news? He's like, you got to stop drinking so much orange juice. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. He's like, all the acid in the orange juice, I guess, was what was causing the burning. I'm like, oh my God, dude. So freaking ridiculous. And I was like, man, after that, like, it was a big running joke about how, you know, all I do is sleep with strippers, because I hooked up with other strippers, you know, the Driftwood, when I was at Camp Geiger, hooked up with a few of them, some other ones, you know, I'm not going to name other places, people are going to laugh at me if you actually know where these places are, and I guarantee you, like, 100 to 200 other Marines hooked up the same chicks I did, so it's like, you know, oorah, yut, fucking sharing women left and right. But it was funny because when I actually got into the fleet, when I was at 29 Palms, that's not too far away from San Diego. The chick was texting me a lot. She's like, oh, I want to see you again and stuff. And I'm like, oh, dude. I was like, I don't even want to risk it. I don't even want to risk it at this point. I'm like, you know, I don't even want to see this chick. And, you know, that's the funny thing about it. I mean, you don't have a lot of choices of the women you get to hook up with when you're in the Marines. You have your townies, and if you're 29 Palms, it's the fucking yucca monsters and shit. you got your barrack bitches, which are fucking nasty fat bitches. You got your fucking wives and girlfriends, which you don't want to even touch. Don't even touch a wife and a girlfriend. God forbid you fuck some gunny's, you know, girlfriend or something, or wife. You're screwed. Look at this. Oh. Bam. Limited exposure. But, you don't have a lot of women and choices in women. I mean, I think that's why most Marines pretty much go for the, I would say, strippers, almost. You could do exotic dancers, but I call them strippers, whatever. But, you know, you don't have a lot of choice. If you have a girlfriend who lives on base, this is the one thing I cannot stress enough to anybody. Do not join the Marines if you have a wife or a girlfriend. Do not. Do not. Do not. If you don't, I'm telling you this right now, do not do it. Because when you get back from a deployment, they will not be your wife or girlfriend. I guarantee it. Either that or you'll be filing for divorce papers yourself. Because, you know, deployments are pretty long. And, you know, you think you trust somebody, and you're almost always wrong. At least every, you know, every instance I've seen it. 90% of my friends who joined with, you know, wives or girlfriends either got dumped during deployment or were met with divorce papers when they got back. So that's one of those things you want to stay clear of. I joined with a girlfriend. It was one of those deals where she was cheating on me the whole time and I was cheating on her the whole time. We both didn't even accept the fact that we should probably break up, because every time, you know, I come home, everything would be cool and we'd do our deeds and stuff and, you know, whatever. It was almost like having a part-time girlfriend. It was kind of cool. I actually kind of enjoyed it, other than the whole fact that she was screwing half the town and I was screwing half the town too. But you know, it's whatever. I mean, it's hard to keep up with stuff like that. I mean, like for instance, my girlfriend at the time lived in Florida and I lived in California. And I mean, you don't make a lot in the Marines. You don't have the money to sit there and fly your girlfriend out. And you know, if you're enlisted, if you ain't married, you're not going to get the housing pay. And you know, it makes it hard. Look at this guy. I hate light machine gunners just lay there in the most random spots. But you know, you're not gonna have the funds to like rent a place or anything like that. So I mean, there really is no point. I gotta say, if you really care about just messing people up, freaking love quick scoping in this game, or should I say aggressive recon. Should have got that dude. But I would say don't. I mean, if you really have a girlfriend that you care about, I would really talk. You know, let's put it this way. If you have a girlfriend right now and you're thinking about joining the Marines, make a deal with each other that you won't talk to each other for 2 weeks. Go that entire span without seeing each other or talking to each other for 2 weeks. If you can make it that 2 weeks without thinking about somebody else, or even, I'm just wrecking fools. Wrecking fools. This guy gets away. Freaking idiot. But if you can go that 2 weeks without thinking about, oh, is she cheating on me, or like, you know, all this stuff, then you might make it. If not, you definitely have a problem, because you're not gonna make it. That was stupid. Because, you know, freaking, I used to spend 2 weeks in the field. I mean, that's not even deployments, that's normal training and stuff. I mean, you got a girlfriend and you can't even stand 2 weeks, you know, you're not even gonna make a 6-month deployment. You know, God forbid you get some extra time tacked on for some other assignment, you're pretty screwed. I got stuck by that stupid door. So it's one of those deals you really have to think about it. And, you know, more power to you if you can actually pull it off, but knowing what I know now, I probably would have dumped her, like, right away before I joined. I hate when people, like, block stair praise. It's so stupid. But, yeah, hold up. Gotta drink something. But yeah, shit like that happens all the time. Then we usually had, I know my company had this one chick. She lived out right outside the base. She was skinny. She wasn't the best looking girl though. And I shit you not, every single person in the company from staff sergeant down had slept with this chick at least twice. Shit you not. We used to have guys that would screw her, and then their roommates would come in and screw her, and stuff like that. I mean, this is the kind of trashy women that the Marine Corps attracts. And they have their own, you know, civilian passes to get on base and stuff. It's ridiculous. I mean, they're the nastiest women ever. And it's funny because, I forget what company it was on base. We had some friends in there, and they were telling us how they had kind of same kind of, you know, barracks bitch just like that, and apparently she was passing crabs around the entire company. Almost the entire company got crabs, and they had to do some, oh man, they banned her from the barracks and shit once they found out it was her. It was crazy. I was like, you know, this is the kind of stuff, it doesn't happen anywhere else. I've never seen that happen anywhere else in my entire experience. Never had anything like that, where it's just like everybody sharing women left and right, and all this crazy stuff's going down. I mean, sure, you're fighting for your country, you never know when you're gonna die, you know, shit could happen at any second, and that should have been my kill. And you know, you gotta get some while you gotta get some, but the choice of women out there is just no bueno, no bueno. And you know, the funny thing is that whole going on to war and stuff line, it don't work. I've tried it so many times, it never works. This is just pathetic, you know. That was stupid. Ignore my skills right there. It doesn't work. I had to actually mix and match some lines and stuff to actually use. I actually, you know, this was stupid. But, you know, I'd never really been one to swoon the ladies, I would say, per se, until I joined the Marines. Just because I had, you know, you had to fight for what you got. I mean, you're competing with all these other Marines. I mean, you had to start learning how to smooth talk real quick, pick up some women. And I got pretty good at it. I got a couple little tricks, you know, here and there that almost guaranteed to work every time. I mean, I got some teamwork systems, like all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous. And, you know, if you ever want, how about this? If you guys want to hear my pickup lines or how to pick up women from my experience and, you know, ways that actually work and proven to work multiple times, let me know in the comments, and I'll go ahead and do my own special video on how to pick up women like Marines or something like that. Something stupid like that. It'd be kind of funny, because I mean, like, some of these tricks and, you know, ways to break the ice and stuff are just like, I mean, they're so elaborate, it almost seems like you're not really doing it. The women almost seem like you're not really doing it. And then, like, crazy stuff. I mean, I don't want to give it all away, because it's just so good. I mean, it took months and months of trial and error to figure this stuff out. Pretty hilarious. But yeah, you know, about the whole hookers and whores thing, if you're asking that question, they're out there. We used to stay out of Geiger at that, I forget what hotel it is. I think it was like Red Triangle or something like that. It was right outside the Geiger gates. Like right after midnight, clockwork, every freaking weekend. You'd start hearing pounding on the doors, and it's the hookers going around trying to find the Marines, you know, who want to spend some money. And it was, oh, they were the nastiest women ever. It was just terrible. It's terrible. It was terrible. And we have these things called Jack Shacks, which doesn't take any imagination to, you know, figure out what those are about. But, you got a blacklist of stuff you can't go to, you know, when you're on liberty. You're not allowed to go to this place. Don't get caught this place. You know, you're going to get NJP'd, all this shit. Well, those are on the list, and, you know, actually, next week I'll tell the story about when I accidentally ended up in one, because it's pretty hilarious. It is a pretty funny story. You know, shit happens. I never really did anything, but definitely one of those experiences I'll never tell my kids about when I have them, you know what I mean? It's definitely, I fucking love that revolver. But yeah, if you haven't seen on my Facebook, I'm going to be recording this week solo gameplay commentary. Commentary gameplay, we'll do that first, but of DayZ. It's not really that, you know, I hate my group. I love playing with my group. It's just, I want to see, ooh, watch this. This is cool. Watch this. Ooh, bam. Jump over the hand grenade. No scope. Getcha. Gotcha. Done. But, you know, it's not that I've gotten, you know, bored of playing with my group. It's, I really want to go back and see what I would do differently starting out, you know, knowing what I know now than when I started the whole Survive series. Because I think it'd be pretty interesting how I would approach different, you know, scenarios or even, you know, towns, you know, with the experience I have. And, you know, it might be interesting. So I'm going to do that for a week, record that. It'll probably be out, not next week, but the week after. We'll do that, and we're going to hold off on the Survive series while those videos are put out. And then I'm going to be bringing more Kerbal, and of course, you know, Stalker. You guys love Stalker, so I'm going to be keep doing that. Definitely enjoying that. And then, you know, we got some games in the future coming out that I'm probably going to be showing. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. Alright, guys, don't forget to leave a comment and give it a like. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.